Okay, reason number one, or mistake number one, that I have made and that I've seen a lot of other people make is location. You may not be making the money that you want to make in your booth because you're in the wrong location. So just like, they say in real estate world, location, 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 it is the same thing for a booth business. Now, the location that's right for you totally depends on what you're selling, your brand of your particular business, how you're selling it, and your target market, okay? So what might be the right location for me could be the wrong location for you, or vice versa. Or you may see other people, if you're currently in a setting in a mall or something and they're doing really well, but you're not, it may be the right spot for them, but not the right spot for you, okay? So you've got to be savvy thinking about that. Now here's what I've seen people do and what I did myself, especially when you're first starting out, because it can feel a little bit scary to sign that first lease, right? To agree to 6 or 12 months to paying, a couple $100 a month or $100 a month, especially if you've just been running your business from your home and you've only been selling things online. It can be really scary to sign that first lease. So a temptation when you start out is to just find the spot with the cheapest rent, right? I've been there. I've done that. Well, I'm just going to find the spot with the cheapest rent. Hi, Janet. Janet is a booth seller alumni, so I'm glad she's here, boot camp alumni. You may be tempted to just go find the spot with the cheapest rent. So quick story, that is actually what I did with my very first booth. I was living not here, in another town back in Arkansas, and I really wanted to try my hand at this whole booth selling thing. And there was this little string of great antique malls and shops downtown that I looked into renting a space, but it was going to be a couple $100 a month, and I was scared of that. I was terrified. I just wasn't really sure that I could pull it off. And so I kind of, put it on the back burner. And then a few months later, this other shop opened up kind of around the corner, and it just had this big banner. It said flea market, and it was like an old warehouse, and some people were renovating it. And or they said they were renovating it, and they just decided to start renting out spaces. And I went in, and I'm going to tell you guys, it was cheap. I was one of the first people to rent a spot. It was dirt cheap. Like I got a 12 by 12 space for like $65 or something. I mean, it was so cheap. And, because I was one of the first people to sign up, they gave me a spot right at the front, and I thought, hot dog, this is going to be great. Like, look at how smart I am. Those people around the corner are paying so much money for those shops. I'm over here saving all this money because I've got this cheap rent. Look at this, is fantastic. And so I moved my stuff in, and y'all, my booth looked great. I had the cutest stuff. I staged it all well. I really spent time decorating my space. I hung up some string lights. I did everything I could. And let me tell you, it flopped, like completely flopped. It did not matter how great my stuff was or how cute my stuff was. My business flopped in that space. And the reason why is because I wound up being just about the only person in that space that wasn't selling just junk. Most everybody else that moved in, literally just, it was like a garage sale. Like, I'm talking old VHS tapes, just piles of old tools, random pieces of like old sweatshirts, clothes, like kind of garage sale type stuff. And everybody else that was in there, that's what they sold. So my stuff, compared to everybody else's in the mall, looked really expensive. And it was appealing to a totally different clientele than the people that were coming in that mall to shop. The people that were coming there were basically coming for garage sale stuff because that's what everybody else had. They weren't coming to buy my cute things that were priced a little bit higher than the VHS tapes right next to me. Okay, they weren't coming there from that. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter how cheap my rent was. It didn't matter how great my stuff was. It didn't matter how cute my booth looked. My business flopped in that because I was in the wrong place. I believed the lie that as long as I saved money and as long as my booth was good, it didn't matter where I was going to make money. And that's just not true. It's not true. So I had to shut it down when my 6 months was up. I was out of there. And there were some other things that were wrong with that space that I dive in more and talk about more in the Booth Seller Bootcamp about how to evaluate a space, but it just was a bad space. And that was my first attempt at doing this business, and it was discouraging. Y'all, I was really discouraged, and I kind of thought, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I don't know how to do this. Maybe this isn't going to work. All those things that you may have experienced and told yourself too, or you've heard other friends say, okay? But it was not a problem with my ability to sell things. It was a problem with the decision that I made about where to sell, okay? Another thing that I see people do is they get on the wait list at several spaces, and their favorite place has the longest wait list, because usually the best places do. And, you know, place number C, or place number 3, the third one down the list, opens up a spot. And they think, well, that one's open, I'm going to jump in. And they jump in, and it winds up not being the right place. And so that has happened, where you just don't want to hold out for the right place. And so you get into a place that is kind of choice B or C because you jump in and it's just not the right place. I'm going to tell you the story about my friend Karen, who actually just finished the boot camp this past session that we did in the fall. And Karen, I actually ran into her at the flea market back last spring or last fall. And she really liked to sell in her booth. She sold vintage things. She didn't buy new wholesale things and sell them. She actually sold vintage things. She painted furniture, upcycled things, and she sold flea market stuff that she found and turned decorative. And she was renting a space at a mall that was newer, and a lot of what else was in there were people that were selling new wholesale things. T-shirts, clothes, and new stuff that you could like go buy at market. Nothing wrong with any of that, but those are not the same two clientele. And so Karen said, like, I can't sell any of my furniture. I don't think I'm any good at painting furniture. It's not selling. Nobody's buying any of my stuff. And I said, well, you know, let's troubleshoot that. Let's look through that. And she said, you know, I think some of it is where I am. And she was completely right. Some of it was where she was at. And so Karen, just recently, just a month or two ago, when her lease ran out at that place, she left that place and she moved into a more true antique mall where everybody else there was selling vintage finds and not new market stuff. And you know what happened? She started selling things immediately. Furniture pieces that she had had for months started selling. Decor that she'd had for months started selling, because now she was in the right place for her business, okay? Similarly, if you're someone who sells wholesale and new things, you don't want to plop down in the middle of an antique market. It's not going to be right for you. Does that make sense? Like, you've got to find the right place for what you sell. The right place that's going to appeal to the kind of people that you're marketing to, because not all shoppers are the same. Some people want old things, some people want new things, some people want a mix of those two things. Some people want legitimate high-end antiques. Some people want decorative junk. You may be trying to sell really high-priced antiques in a mall that's appealing more to kind of people that just want cute junk and they're not looking for collectibles. These are two different audiences. Do you see that? Or you may be trying to sell just cute stuff in a place where people are looking for real valuable antiques and collectibles. And these people walk by your stuff and they're like, well, that's a bunch of junk, okay? You take this same stuff though and you put it in this mall over here and it's gonna sell, and vice versa. So you have to think about, what do you sell and who is your market, and wherever you're going, do you fit? Like, is that the right fit? You don't wanna, take your circle inventory and fit it into a square hole of the mall. It's not gonna sell. It's just not gonna sell. So sometimes that means waiting. Sometimes that means maybe adjusting a little bit what you're selling. If you can't get out of where you're selling, then maybe you need to adjust a little bit. And that's actually another reason, another thing that we're going to talk about coming up soon. So I don't want to skip ahead. That's a few reasons away. Besides a good fit for your inventory, you also want to just look at demographics. You want to, who lives around where your space is? And are they the kind of people that are interested in the stuff that's in that mall? Another example, I live in a suburb of Dallas, and I've lived here for 10 years, and I've just learned that here in my suburb, it's a bunch of people like me that are kind of in their, 30s, 40s, and they've got school-age kids. And there's not like a historic downtown area. Everything's kind of new. And most of the people in my little town don't like vintage stuff. There's just not a market for that. There is an antique mall 5 minutes from my house. I have never, ever, ever rented a space there because nobody that lives here in my little suburb is interested in vintage stuff, or, very few of them. They're interested in modern things. They're busy with their kids. It's just, that's not the market. So I go one suburb up where there is this huge historic district and all these historic homes and a culture there of people that like old, rusty, primitive flea market stuff. Okay, they don't live here where I live, but they do live in the next town up. So I drive up here to sell my stuff. It's a little bit less convenient. It's not 5 minutes from my house. That'd be real convenient. But again, that's the wrong place for me. It's just not the right place for me. So think about the demographics. Think about the customer service that's being offered. I walk into the place that you may want to sell and get a feel like, do they treat their customers well? Do they keep the shop nice and clean? Are you noticing that things are selling there? There's lots of ways to evaluate a place before you move in. And I dive into that a lot more, again, in week 1 of the boot camp. So, but here's what I kind of want you guys to walk away with. If you have struggled in a space, then there's a high likelihood that you haven't hit the right one yet. You haven't hit the right space for you. And don't let that discourage you. Like my friend Karen, who said, maybe I just can't paint furniture. Maybe my stuff isn't good. Her stuff was great. She just was in the wrong place. Okay? So don't get discouraged. I have been in 2 wrong places in my business. I've had to leave 2 places. And there's a high likelihood that in the future I'll wind up in another wrong place and I'll have to leave again. It doesn't mean that you have blown it, all right? It doesn't mean that you wasted that period of time. It just what you learned, like you went through that 6 months of your lease or whatever, and you learned this isn't the right place for me. It doesn't mean that you need to quit your business. It doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. It just means that you need to go find another place. That's all. So don't let that discourage you and think that you failed. If you realize, like, maybe I'm not where I need to be, okay? You haven't failed. You've learned, and now you can go fix your mistake, right? And you can make a better decision about the next thing that you sign up, that next lease that you sign. You can make a better decision about it, okay? So that's it. Reason number 1, location, location, location. It makes a difference. I promise you that it does. So I hope you guys will join me back on Wednesday, same time, 2 o'clock Central Time, unless something changes between now and then, which in my world is highly possible with these kids running around. So, but that's my plan. Wednesday at 2 o'clock Central Time, I'll be back, and we're going to be talking about reason number 2, or mistake number 2. The second thing that may be limiting your profits and ways you can fix it. And then if you have not signed up for the waiting list for the Booth Seller Boot Camp, then I hope that you will join me in that. You can find the link right above the video. Right now, we just have the wait list open, but next Thursday is when the doors for the course open. And that's where you can really learn to take kind of your booth to the next level and really get this going. Let's see, there's one question here that I've got. Where in DFW is good for handmade quality furniture and decor? I'm in downtown McKinney and can't sell anything there, completely lost. So Michael, it depends on what you mean by handmade. Like, are you looking at rustic type of things? Or like kind of Western rustic handmade furniture? Or are you looking at because you're right. Like if that's kind of what you're building, McKinney's not your market. Like you need to go somewhere more towards Fort Worth or somewhere maybe farther up in Anna or in Denison or something. Like McKinney people, they're not looking for kind of rustic, you know, I don't know, I'm thinking like things built out of logs, like Western type things. Maybe that's not what you're talking about at all. But McKinney's not the place for there. It's also not the place for high-end collectibles in my experience. That's much more down in Dallas. If you're looking for someone who really is looking for high-end collectibles, or you may want to try taking some of those things to auction, like some of the things that are really valuable, then you might need to be taking them to auction. You're saying more shabby chic. Well, McKinney is very shabby chic. That look is definitely there. Although I have noticed in the past year, it is shifting away some from painted furniture. My painted furniture is doing a lot better down in Plano right now than it is in McKinney. So the market is shifting a little bit. So, you know, you may have not so much a location problem, but it could be more of an inventory problem or exactly what you're kind of selling. Those two things can go together. So we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But, you know, I would encourage you, Michael, to just keep experimenting, to take some time to drive around to some other places, to do a little bit of recognizance, you know, and look around and see some of the other places and what things are being sold at some other markets. It could be a location problem. It could be a little bit of an inventory problem for you too, that we're going to talk about some more in the next times that we chat. So I appreciate you joining today, and thanks for everybody who joined and who shared. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday. Okay, everybody have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.